We've done the Japanese thing and gotten up for the sunrise for the first day of the year in the distant future of 2020.
2020.
It does feel like the distant future, doesn't it?
Yeah, I remember being a little kid and thinking like, oh wow, I get to live through 2020. That's pretty righteous. I was apparently a kid who used really cool slang.
I used to be like, man, I'm going to be an old dude in 2020, and I was right.
Yeah. I still got a couple years until old dude status, so it's just regular for me.
I was mostly asleep last night by the time 2020 actually arrived here in Hawaii.
Yes, I woke you up at 10 minutes to midnight, and I was like, you want to go outside? And you said, no. And then later I woke you up again because you were snoring, and you were like, it's just fireworks.
Which explains what I was going to get to. When 2020 happens on Hawaii, and I'm sure this happens every year, everybody has illegal fireworks, and it sounds like a war is taking place outside. You're in a neighborhood, and it's just like, and I'm not talking about some little firecrackers. People had those things that launch into the air and explode into a full-blown firework.
Yes.
And they're not very high in the sky, and they're directly next to all the houses. It's insane.
We arrived back at our couch surfing place. I got out of the car and I was walking into the house, and directly in front of me, you just heard a big pop, and then up in the sky, just boom, and it literally was the closest firework I've ever been to.
The whole sky turns white.
The whole sky turned white, other than the other colors that existed in this firework, which were very much green.
Yes.
I saw a lot of green. That was intense, and yeah, then we snoozed through the war, and
got up. The sun comes up at 7:17. So it wasn't too bad, and we're like a 5-minute drive from the ocean where we're staying. So the ocean that we're staying, the coast that we're near, it just shoots east. So, or I'm sure it looks east is the right direction. And so we just came down here and sat on the beach, and we realized that, and we're not 100%, but we're like 99% sure that we can see Oahu from here. And when the sun is rising, you can actually make it out when it's behind it because of the shadow that's being created.
Forms a shadow of an island. That's kind of crazy.
I didn't realize that the islands were that close together. Maybe
I didn't realize they were that tall.
Maybe it's not. Oh, maybe we're crazy. Maybe it's not Oahu. But we looked at Google Maps and we looked at what we were looking at, and it was like, that really looks like it's Oahu. So yeah, that's everything we've learned so far in 2020.
I'd put like 95% chance on that.
I'd give it a 99.
All right.
It's either Oahu or a cloud that was sitting weirdly low, like right on the coast, or on the water or whatever. But yeah, that's everything we've learned in 2020. You guys are up to speed with the year.
We also learned that I can't guess jelly beans based off taste.
That's true.
That definitely. Well, I didn't know there was a purple jelly bean. That last one doesn't count because it was never introduced to that flavor prior to the guessing game.
There is a purple jelly bean.
There is a purple jelly bean.
You got to be ready for all sorts of rogue colors.
Yeah, and you go double color. You went yellow, and that is unfair. But I should have known that
she
flavor.
She closes her eyes. I put them in her hand. She has to guess.
Yeah, it's a very fun game.
We're doing another trail today, Sleeping Giant Trail, which I have no idea what this is, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, we just found out about it about an hour ago. Prior to that, we were helping the people that we were couch surfing with clean up the Christmas situation. So we had like a domestic morning, which was kind of fun.
We also watched a documentary about some hippies that lived up in this commune that's up near where we went hiking yesterday. Called Taylor Camp. Look it up on Wikipedia or see if you can find the Taylor Camp documentary. It's really cool. Like just a cool... This is a cool situation. I'm not going to get into a review of a film right now. But yeah, so we're going to go up here and then see what's up there.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Something about a wind tunnel.
Yeah, there's a wind tunnel and a chin and a forehead because this is a sleeping giant. We're going to go find some body parts that hopefully are real body parts.
And those will... We haven't come very far up, but the vegetation like instantly changes as soon as you start climbing an elevation a little bit. And we've entered this forest of pine trees, basically. And they are planted almost in straight lines. Like if you look back here, this is like boom, boom. It feels like a bamboo forest, but with giant pine trees. I wonder if this is natural the way this is, or if somebody came along and planted rows of trees at some point. If they did, I'm assuming they did it a while ago because those are pretty big trees.
Okay, Okay, so I decided to wear my non-Chaco shoes. I've got some Crocs that actually go around the back of my feet, and I really like them. They're super comfortable. I can sneak around and do anything in these shoes. It's really fun. But mud is a whole different world. I am a bit worried about them staying in once I start making a movement, like sticking in the mud, but so far haven't had that problem. We got to a huge patch of mud, had to wait for a family to come down. I'm helping people with like giving them a hand. I'm holding onto a tree. They're trying not to slide down the hill. I go up like maybe 2 more steps. Another group of people comes down and the hands just came to me. So I started grabbing hands and they're just pulling me up the mountain, and it was really cool. I wasn't even looking at like what I was doing. I'm just looking at the hand, making sure I've got the hand. And we got up to this view and I didn't even look at it because all I could think was mud, 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 mud. But we've gotten to this. Whew. Don't wake the giant.
I'm not sure we have much choice.
Oh, wow. Holy crap. Thank you for suggesting this, Jackie. Wow.
What are these called? The chin and the forehead?
I believe that's the chin, and over there is the forehead.
And somewhere around here is something called a wind tunnel, but we're not sure 100% where that's at. But regardless, the hike on this last bit coming up past where the shelter was gets a little more intense, where you actually have to climb. Not ridiculous amounts of climbing. I mean, we're not like free soloing like Hellcap or anything like that, but you definitely have got to like pay attention to where you're doing your footholds and whatnot. You get up to that, and then you have this unbelievable clearance that you get, and just this view of basically the entire island. And it makes me wonder if once we get up a little bit higher over here, if that's possible, if we'll actually be able to see the other side of the island that's being obstructed by that hill.
Ah, interesting.
But regardless, I can see a lot of places we've been during our visit here to Kauai, and I think that's a kind of a cool way to like end it. Like, yeah, okay, I recognize that beach, and I recognize those mountains, and I recognize that area,
and I know where we're parked.
I know where we're parked, hopefully. But I think you want to push on and see if we can go to the very top?
Yeah. The highest point is not always the most visually appealing point. We can't see the other side of the island because this hill is still obstructing the view. But we got over here.
It's nasally appealing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't know what
the
this
word?
smell
There's a better
is.
word, like aura. No, there's another word for
olfactory.
There we go.
It's olfactorily. Olfactorily. That's not a word. It's definitely not a word. Yeah, these bushes kind of smell like friend of basil.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got word that there's a wind tunnel inside of a cave. We found what looked like a cave, turned out to be a tunnel, and it's definitely a little bit windy. You can't tell right now. It is not windy. Nothing. That is really surprising. But we found this great cave and some people to chat with, and we just sat here. It's a lovely view. You are covered, and you just have a moment to relax and really take in that you've climbed up this beast, and there's people right above us on the chin. It's really strange to have come down into this little fort that you can kind of call your own for a few minutes. I'm stuck. Yes. That might be a cave.
Give it a go.
I got stuck in that one. That's just saying Hawaiian food. Pono Market again, because it's our last day on Kauai, and they make amazing food. And you want to go and make sure you get authentic food while you can, and this really feels authentic. We've gotten poke because yesterday I met a guy. He was like, my goal on this trip is to have poke every day. And I realized I've been here 2 weeks. I haven't had poke. So apparently this guy's aim for his trip is something I've completely just, not disregarded, just thought to myself, oh, it'll happen when it happens. And we kind of feel a little bit like poke is something we can get in Japan. Like you can go and get sashimi don, like raw fish on rice any day that we want. But we just had some bites inside and they were quite different than what we would be having in Japan. So this is a spicy ahi. Ahi is tuna. I don't know if that's...
I think it's just tuna.
It's just tuna. It's kind of a mayonnaise spicy bit. Really good. I thought that she gave us like on a stick, the spicy, and then a shoyu one. I feel like the spicy took over a little bit. It's a screamer. Like, it hits your tongue and it kind of just bursts. It doesn't have, like, that build to it. It's already there. So, the spicy is what we got recommended by a friend. The one that we chose for our secondary was a recommendation by the person inside that said, if you get the spicy, get the sesame to go with it, because they kind of make a good combo.
Is it more subdued?
Yeah, it's way subdued, and it's kind of nice that it's not loud. This is very loud, both in like fire and taste buds, like the mayonnaise flavor. It's you get the texture of the fish, but you don't get the flavor of the fish. This, you get the flavor of the fish and the texture and some sesame. Both are very good. And down below, you've just got standard rice, but this place is good at their rice, so... yeah, I'm quite excited about that. I'm not doing a good job.
It has the rice texture. That's what I'm always worried about.
More American than Japan, but not bad.
That's a respectable review.
I feel like Japanese rice is a little squishy. Here, I can feel like the texture on the outside. It's not crunchy at all, but like I don't know how to explain. It's a bit difficult.
You mentioned recently that the flavors in America has been something that I've been trying to wrap my mind around for a long time, and it hit me that loud is the explanation for a lot of the way that American food tastes. It just tastes like overwhelming and loud, not necessarily in a bad way, just in a crank to 11 way. And this is another example of that. Basically, the spicy tuna is very loud, and you eat it and you wait, and then it builds and then it explodes, and it's a fun experience. It's good, but this is a dish that is essentially very similar to a Japanese dish that they have taken and just cranked the flavor all the way up on, and yeah, it's very good. It's just different. That's all I'm trying to say, and I just really like this loud explanation that I've come up with. I'm very proud of myself. The thing that also we want to mention is that this was damn cheap. This was $2.38, which for this amount of fish with some rice and stuff, in Japan even, which is way cheaper on food than a lot of things we've seen here are, would be probably twice the price or more. So I just can't believe about this place. This Pono Market is amazing. If you come to Kauai, you've got to make this like your home base for food. It's astonishing how good the food is. And I can't believe it's this cheap. And the staff is so friendly. 5 stars, y'all.
We're hunting around for postcards before we leave Kauai for the postcard club. Look at it on Patreon if you're interested. And we went to one store and we found a good number of postcards, but not enough to send to everyone. So we had to have a lady call another store about a cock postcard. You gonna get a nice cock in the mail.
We have come back up to the northish side via the eastern route of the island of Kauai. And the reason we've come up here today, this is our last day, and we've just got some time before our flight to kill. And we didn't spend too much time over here, so we wanted to take another drive and stop and see some things. And then it started to pour down rain, which kind of slowed us down a little, but we got a break in the rain. And the main thing that I wanted to see was, yesterday we had watched a documentary that our couch surfing host had recommended to us about the Taylor Camp, which was a group of hippies basically that lived out here in the woods and ran around naked and built tree houses and stuff. Like, like something that sounds like it didn't really happen, but it really did happen in the late 60s and through the 70s. And there was a lot of friction with the government and the local authorities and stuff. And like the story in itself is pretty cool. The documentary is called Taylor Camp, and I recommend looking that up. And this is kind of one of the streams that they would be living along. So back in this area was where their settlement was all set up and stuff. And I just kind of wanted to see it with my own eyes. There are some caves that were shown in the documentary that have these really cool like swimming holes, and there's like one of those blue light caves where the light bounces off the sand and comes up. And it's somewhere back in here, I believe, but we don't have internet. There's no data out here, and I'm worried that the rain is gonna just open up and just pound down on us, which under some circumstances is fine, but not right before you're going to get on an airplane. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to get back there and see any of that, but it is sort of cool to see this tranquil little stream that's here and kind of think about like how, it's hard to express this, but how remote this must have been in the 70s. These people were way outside of society, and it's neat to just see that firsthand. Contrary to what I just said about not going and looking for the cave, we're now walking looking for the cave, and it's starting to rain more. So I don't know how far we'll make it, but we just trumped up through some forest or whatever, like bushes. Which direction do you think we go now?
Possibly back to the car.
All right, so yeah, back to the car is where we went.
It didn't start to downpour at all. It's just like, I sit here and I think about the people who are doing the Kauai trail right now, and we had a beautiful day when we were out there, and I counted us lucky. And I'm thinking, you know, they're having a hard day in the muck, and I don't have to have a hard day in the muck. So yeah. I need to choose my footing wisely.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is we're carrying the camera with us, and my bag is mostly waterproof, but not like storm-proof. So like the gear would probably be okay, but again, their next step is an airplane. Yeah. I don't want to show up like a soggy dog, you know what I mean?
And my legs are already very, very moist because all the foliage there was like hip height, if not like chest height to me. So
I think the next thing we're gonna go see if we can find some data, and then instead of just wandering around blindly, maybe we can figure out a little more pinpointed where
we want to go.
The cave would be to see, because I think I'd really like to see it. I'm really fascinated by this now, and maybe they'll stop raining at the same time, but maybe it'll get worse. I don't know. No promises on the cave.
Yep. No promises were made on a cave, but we've ended up in a cave. Not the one we were looking for, but one that was on the side of the road, okay? It has a huge mouth. I kind of feel like we've entered a giant fish. We have come all the way in. The first thing I notice is you expect to go in a cave, and Eric asked me if I had my flashlight, and I told him that I did, but it is super well lit in here. There's like parts that are dark, but lots of it is still really well lit. Like you can see where you're going and you're still in a cave. And then on top of that, I noticed that there were these spiders kind of hanging down from the ceiling. They come down on just one line and then they kind of lay there. They have webs up at the top, but it looks almost as though they're fishing for something, just chilling at the bottom of their line, like they're just waiting to see if something flies by, I guess, or they're gonna eat our brains. I don't know. This is a pretty cool cave. Like, why is it this big? It's huge. More spider stuff. I spotted a kid just kind of pointing over at the wall, and he was pointing at something and said, "It's even thicker over here." So I saw what he was looking at, and it's spider related, so I went over there and I looked a little bit. That's this creepy stuff down here. And then we kind of realized that along the entire ceiling, as you can see like right here in front of my hand, all of it has kind of been covered with a coat of spider web. It's like an extra skin on the cave. Don't touch anything. When we went to the trail, we were driving across this bridge right here, and I noticed that there's a stream that kind of meets the ocean, which I feel is a bit unique. You don't normally see that. I guess you could, considering that streams go towards the ocean at all times. But anywho, this one looks just unearthly over here, looking very lagoon-like and lovely, and people were just swimming in it. It was a nice, lovely day, lots of sun, and I thought to myself, I'm going on a trail, but I really wish I was doing what you were doing, but you can't change your plans. I just dipped my toes in there, and the water was not super cold, but a little cold. It wasn't what I expected like the ocean water would feel like. And I realized that the stream water is coming down, and it is meeting the ocean water, and they are just colliding into each other right here. So some ocean's going over there, some streams coming over here, and they're just having a battle that continues on and continues on and continues on. There are tons and tons and tons of churches in Hawaii. We know America has a Christian upbringing in most parts, but we are stunned. We saw this church, which kind of stands out from other ones. There is ornate stained glass windows that are just gorgeous. The outside is kind of like a green that normally you wouldn't see a church of such a color, and it kind of looks like a very cool old place as opposed to what I feel a church should look like. And as we're turning, we want to go to this place, but we had to make a U-turn. We had to make a U-turn at the church across the street to come to this one. That's how many churches are here. We're really shocked at how many churches there are, but this one is very amazing to look at from the outside, from the inside. They have postcards of it because I think they know that it's pretty cool. The smell in here is just churchy. It smells kind of like wooden floors. And like wooden floors that are hollow. I don't know how to explain that. Like the smell of hollow is filling this room. I think they get overflow at this church because it says like if you can stand during the service, please do. So I think this place is pretty packed on Sundays, and this might have a people who do worship in this way may come here and want to visit here when they come to Hawaii. And I never thought about people who go on vacation, but yet Sunday is their day that they go to church. They will look for a place to go in a new place. I didn't think about that, so that might be why this gets so much traffic. We're here. An even like cooler part of this is that you aren't leaving the United States, but you are coming to Hawaii, which has its own language. And in this particular church, they do service both in English and in Hawaiian. So this is a Hawaiian hymn book. And so people would be singing. You might come to this church just to see your religion, the thing that you know, love, and trust, in a different way that other people are doing it. And I never really thought about it that way. And you might be singing songs that you know in a whole different language. It's kind of a cool way to experience your faith. I didn't really think about that.
It's pretty cool to see the churches in this setting with all the palm trees, and sometimes it's like a mixture of a normal church type of structure, but mixed in with some of the styles that you would see in Polynesia or in Hawaii specifically. So it's a cool mashup. I really like seeing this, and they all seem to be a little bit different in the way that they look. This one really stuck out to us, mostly probably because of the green color and the stained glass on the outside, but we passed a whole lot of different buildings that ended up being churches, and we looked at them like, what is that? Oh, it's a church. It's distinct looking in a way that it doesn't fit in with all the other buildings, but it also doesn't fit in specifically with being a church until you read the sign. We are currently on Oahu, but I wanted to ask you, because this is going to be the sum up video of Kauai.
Oh.
So let's talk about Kauai for a minute, get that out of the way, and then we can start filming Oahu. Rewind.
That was a freaky cage back there, covered in feces. That was American.
Okay. So Kauai, what things stuck out to you on Kauai? What are your final thoughts of the Kauai series?
The scenery is huge and it almost feels like you can never touch it. Like you're not allowed to go on top of it. You always have to see it from afar, like it's a forbidden area. That's how it started to feel to me.
Yeah.
Like we were always on the edge. You're always on that outer road driving around. You're always in the canyon, looking at the canyon, which can't go down in there.
Trying to get to all those mountains and the coast and everything. Yeah, yeah.
So it feels a bit forbidden still.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure that there are paths that go up to all the crags, and we don't really have time to figure all that out.
Or the expertise, I would assume.
Expertise is probably an important part of that too. And it still feels a bit forbidden, but at the same time, it feels like tourism has hit it pretty hard.
But not nearly as hard as other places.
Yes.
It's not completely, what we noticed when we were there is, we were like, for a minute you were like, are there any chain restaurants here at all? And there certainly are, but there's so many little local joints that it still has a lot of charm in that sense.
Yeah, there are way many local joints.
Yeah.
We were up in them. They were great.
And the food that we had there I thought was really fun and good, and I don't know, it kind of followed along with the footsteps of the Big Island, where people were really friendly and it was easy to just talk with people and everything. But I think like the major takeaway is just how beautiful it is there.
Yeah.
I could
My
definitely
ice cream scoop analogy still stands.
Yeah. I could definitely spend more time there, because I think there's a lot more to do, and I do at some point in my life plan on flying out of a helicopter. Like it just looks so crazy and fun.
Yeah.
Like just such an adventure. So yeah, Kauai was a good time, and the next time you see us, we will be talking about Oahu, where we're at right now, but it's kind of a secret. Don't tell anybody.
Weather report, sprinkling.
Yeah, sprinkling a little bit.
Snick tack. Those like spy cameras. Yes, right? Oh, gee.
Every full moon, we have a big full moon party, play music. The sun would go down and the drums would start up and the flutes would start up.
There would be a bonfire, and sometimes the guys played music.
We hope you enjoyed our videos from Kauai. Consider supporting us on Patreon to keep these videos coming. There's a link below. Next up, we explore Hawaii's Oahu. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.